Thank you, Simon. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. In the earlier session, we heard both from the High Commissioner as also from the British Deputy High Commissioner a series of initiatives that both governments have launched to make doing business easier. The Indian government, which came in just over a year ago, has actually launched a slew of reform initiatives in multiple areas. They were tempted to see how it can catapult India to not just being a large-sized economy, but also being one of the more dynamic economies across the globe. We've often talked of India's demographic advantage, its benefit, but it's also a fact that that dividend is ours to realize if we can train, skill, educate our young people, and create opportunities for employment. We need to create 1 million new jobs month on month, every month for the next 10 to 15 years. For us to be able to absorb all the young people who come into the working age group. That is our challenge. Interestingly, that's also our biggest opportunity. It's clear the world realizes now that those countries which are able to provide knowledge, skills, and people will create the markets, will create the opportunities, and will build their economies. India has been known to be a growing market, but there's always been some trepidation in going and doing business in India. It's not the easiest place to work in. So one of the big initiatives is around ease of doing business. I'm actually going a little bit beyond manufacturing, if you don't mind, because these are all actually connected. What makes manufacturing work is the overall environment. The numbers are clear. India has today about 68% of our population living in the rural areas. 54% roughly depends on agriculture as a primary source of income. But these are all consumers as well. And we've seen in the last 10 to 12 years that the growth in demand and consumption has grown faster in the rural areas than it has in the urban markets of India. In fact, the last year and a half, when the demand in the rural markets slowed down, all of us felt the pain in our overall numbers. So it's clear that we need to grow both the urban and the rural markets of India. And manufacturing is likely to be the best growth engine India can provide. For one, it's well known now that every manufacturing job has the potential to create between 3 to 5 manufacturing-related services jobs. And we've seen this over and over again now. Economists have shown it, but we see this in our own companies as well. Each time we put up a new manufacturing facility, the entire region around the plants seems to benefit. The initiative of ease of doing business has a lot of work that's going on focused on manufacturing itself for this very reason. We've also launched, to make manufacturing easier, we also made the FDI regime a little bit easier in India, especially focused on areas like defense manufacturing, which was again mentioned in the morning. We started this off by setting up something called the Niti Aayog, which replaced India's Planning Commission. The Niti Aayog is an attempt for a transformational initiatives, a series of transformational initiatives. It's like a think tank which works in the government, but yet one step removed. And the Niti Aayog has identified manufacturing and the need to make this global as one of the key initiatives that India can take. India clearly realizes it needs to be part of the global value chain in manufacturing to truly establish itself as a significant manufacturing destination. We have about 350 of the global 500 companies right now doing some form of research, development, innovation in India. And from many of them one hears it's much cheaper to do it in India, and it's interestingly also much easier in many ways. And so India does not just want to be a mass manufacturer in a sense what China did. It wants to be a manufacturer where there is more intellectual input, where there's more IP, there's more engineering and more design involved, so that there is more value add to the overall manufacturing initiative of the country. Towards this, we are now in active dialogue with the government to make life easier to set up manufacturing facilities, to operate them, and if you need to be able to exit from them. So labor policy is one of the areas which has been very, very stiff in India. We've had one of the toughest labor regulations in the world. I would say it's somewhat like France and Germany. There's an interesting initiative which is now being taken up by some of the state governments itself. In India, we have a three-tier structure. There are policies made by the federal government, there are policies made by state government, and we have a third one called the concurrent list. So labor sits on the list where the states have a major role to play. So 2 state governments have already announced them. There are another 3 states who are in the process of announcing new labor policies, much more relaxed labor policies over the coming weeks and months. And our belief is that as the states in India become more competitive, as they have, to try and attract investments, they will start to create policies which are easier for industry to come in and operate. In terms of productivity, I think you see some of the companies here and in this room. Indian companies now are competing with about the best in the world. And they are actively and increasingly reaching out to the globe, both for talent and for markets. The other big initiative that is now in the process is on taxation, which has been a very complex subject until now. But with the introduction of a common goods and services tax, we would truly turn India into one common big market. Up till now, it's been a market of 28 different states. So they were actually, while India looks like a big market, but it was actually, you were dealing with each state with a separate set of taxation. That hopefully will change by April of next year and would truly turn India into a single large market. To facilitate availability of talent, one of the big initiatives that has now been taken on is on skills, education and training. Actively supported by the private sector itself. Many of us in this room are involved in training, in education, either as businesses or as a not-for-business activity. We as a group run a series of about 35,000 students studying in our high schools right now. We also run colleges and have just recently started a university. These are all not-for-profit initiatives, but the idea is to help build a new set of Indians, much sharper, much more exposed, and much more global in their outlook. As you well know, India has the ability to adopt technology better than many other nations. We are good at this, both good at mathematics and adoption of technology. We've demonstrated this both in the IT industry, the telecom industry, etc. And we believe there is a massive opportunity there in areas like electronic hardware, like defense manufacturing, like energy alternatives. In the areas of automotive itself, India has become the hub for small cars in the world. So automotive and auto components are a big area of interest for India. And India would like to continue to grow these and build multiple partnerships across the world. So I believe we have 5 to 7 minutes each. So I shall stop here. Only to say our interest in UK is very active. We are extremely interested to get British companies to come and work in India and have Indian companies come and work here, because you have a culture of innovation and a very, very good environment to attract business. We've actually operated business here, so I'm speaking from some experience. And I think there is a huge opportunity for both of us to find ways to do more of this together. Thank you.